Speed Metal Kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
It's Wednesday night once again, and that means it's time for another Auburn Family Night, the show we've been doing since the dawn of time here on YouTube. It is all about you, your comments, your questions, topics, and of course your calls here on our live call-in show that's focusing on you, the Auburn family. Let's get into it right now. War Eagle, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live here on Facebook, on YouTube, all the different places that you can broadcast and catch this show on. We appreciate you doing that. We appreciate you if you're watching live, on the replay, however we got you, whenever we got you. Thanks for being part of our little family within the Auburn family, where we talk about the Auburn experience. What is that Auburn experience to us? It's a few different things: Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. If it's orange and blue, it's what we do. That's the simplest way that you can say it. And that's what we're going to get into with you all this evening. So as you're coming in on the live portion, especially, but you can even do this on the replay, let's start the show off right with you all smashing that like button and checking in with us, letting us know where you're watching from, city, state, international, with a War Eagle, however you'd like to announce your presence into the chat. That, so-and-so has entered the chat room. This is how you do it this evening. So jump in with us. Let us know that you're here. There is plenty of stuff to discuss this evening. There was enough to discuss last night, but plenty of things and topics that we probably want to hit on and discuss. None more so important than Bruce Pearl and his legacy and history yesterday, how basketball season's going, football transfer portal stuff, you name it, we've got it, but it's going to be focused around what you guys want to discuss mostly. And of course, most importantly, is your calls. So please do take advantage of our call-in link. It is going to be available for you guys. Well, technically it is already available, but I couldn't find my little icon because everything's moved around on me. Where did it go? I'll find it in a little bit. There you go. Brought to you by our friends at allthingsauburn.net. Visit them for a great place to stay, but not just to stay, but have a great Auburn experience when you visit the loveliest village on the plains. All right. So that call-in link is available to you. It is on Facebook. I'm going to drop this down just a little bit, actually. It's on, it shouldn't be on Facebook. Anyway, it's here on YouTube, pinned up at the top. So if you want to take advantage of that, all that you've got to do is click it. That's it. Click it, and then you will be on camera. Well, you can choose to have your face on camera or not. It can just be your voice. But certainly we would love to hear from some of our regulars, as we often do on these shows. But if you're brand new, we'd love to hear some new faces, see some new faces, hear some new voices, however you choose to interact with it. Don't be shy. It's not that difficult. Remember, our goal for this year is to get you guys more used to doing this, get some of our new people chatting in with us and hanging out with us tonight. Lots of fine people checking in with us and saying hello from around the land. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us early and often this evening from all the different platforms out there. This is how the show goes. It's all about you. So you tell us where you want to go. We'll start taking calls in just a little bit this evening. Let's see. WT says, wants to start off by talking about Texas in the game last night. UT Texas showed that we are vulnerable, but I like that we got the SEC road win. Certainly, it could be a game that would be described as exposing of Auburn a little bit. Not exposing is probably too strong a word, but reminding us all that Auburn is susceptible to potential losses this year. If you didn't catch that already from how strong the SEC play has been already, I cannot say this enough, folks. SEC basketball is just tough. It is going to be one of the best conferences that we've probably seen in quite some time, top to bottom. I'm not saying that every single team in this conference is going to be a world beater, but I certainly think that you should take every one of them seriously, because anybody is going to beat somebody on any given night. So certainly always take that into consideration. Let me start off the show, and we'll start taking calls here by opening up with the obvious thing. It's in the header here. It's on the title. Bruce Pearl. I said it last night on the show, but it bears repeating again. The importance of Bruce Pearl to the Auburn basketball experience, but to the Auburn experience in general, and what he has meant for, yes, the sport of Auburn basketball, yes, the athletics, yes, the university, yes, the town, the family, all of it being said. But today we continue to celebrate 214 and beyond, as he is now the all-time leader in wins for Auburn basketball. And I will give you this quote that we shared on social media earlier today, straight from Bruce Pearl's mouth, just over 10, well, almost 11 years ago, really, when he was, I think, March 11th, 2014. He said this on that day in his intro press conference: "I want to build my legacy here. I'd like to try to be the winningest coach in the history of Auburn basketball." Check. Done, over with, and only going to become even more of a legend now that that is officially accomplished. So happy for Bruce. So happy for the program. But he has meant a lot to Auburn, and we're so happy that we get to be a part of that story. Just wanted to kick things off with the good feelings for Bruce and celebrating that. And we'll jump into a few of those things this evening. Let's go ahead and talk to our first caller tonight. He's one of our regulars. He's usually here early and often. So here he is, Mr. Kevin. What's going on, sir?
We should be number one on Monday.
Well, we got to win against South Carolina, right? We got to get that win. But right now, there is no disputing, maybe not officially on any polls, but we are certainly number one based off of results currently at this point. But maybe so on Monday.
Hey, let's talk about the all 13 players who get to score in the basketball game.
You want me to talk about every single one of them? That'd take us all night. So you're going to have to pick a few of those. But first, I got to ask you a question. What you eating on there? It's the first time you've
Dessert.
Dessert? Is it ice cream or what is it? Is it like cobbler? Or?
Yeah, cobbler.
Okay. Well, there you go. I was just curious. I've never seen you eating things before. I see that. Number 18. Who's that for?
Seth Williams.
Okay. Not for Cody Burns?
And Cody Burns.
I was about to say, I'm a Cody Burns guy. So every time I see the number 18, I think of Cody Burns. Certainly Seth is important
who
too.
Had number 18 this past season?
It's a good question. I will look that up for you and see if we can't figure that out.
My best basketball player this year is Chad Baker Mazaria, because he hit 50 free throws, then he missed one.
He did. He was that was an incredible streak, wasn't it? The announcers kept talking about it, and I was like, please shut up. Please stop saying, talking about it. Because, like when there's a no-hitter in baseball, you're not supposed to say anything about it. I've got your 18s for you. I should have known these. So you had two number 18s in Auburn football this past season. You want to take a guess at who they are? Sam
Jackson.
You knew one of them right away. There's one offense, one defense. Who's the defense?
Namad Pritchett.
No, that's a wrong year. But what about Caleb Harris? Caleb Harris, safety, is number 18.
Yeah, how come Caleb Wooden transferred?
I don't know. I don't know him personally. Certainly his brother stuck around here, and I'd hoped he would as well. But he obviously felt like he didn't. I would assume he felt like he had a better opportunity to find more playing time elsewhere. Is probably what it was.
You think Walker White might be starting at Baylor next year?
I don't know Baylor's situation enough. Now, I do have two brothers who went to graduate school there, and so they seem to be pretty up on Baylor. And they did mention to me over the holidays that they, at least if I heard them correctly, that there's a quarterback that probably would still be there and likely still be the guy. So I don't necessarily think Walker left to go be the starter. And if he didn't, that's like a failure on his part. But I don't see any reason to think that would be the case at this moment, but it would be pretty interesting if it was.
Did we Did we find another quarterback today?
Yes, and I am blanking on his name. Somebody in the chat can help us out if they'll post it in there. Off the top of my head, I can Tanner Bailey. I think that's it.
Bailey, yeah.
Tanner Bailey, yes. So he is apparently spent 2 seasons at South Carolina, took the last year off. Unless I read it incorrectly, I thought they said he was at school at Auburn this last year. Maybe not. Maybe it was South Carolina. Either way, he wasn't playing football this past year and has been brought in. So a lot of people, there's been a lot of conversation today about whether or not he was going to be the final quarterback in that room. And he might be, but I don't even know if it's been reported that it's actually a scholarship thing. It could be a walk-on type of scenario. I think in the articles that were written, it talked about he may not even be. He has graduated from college, wherever that was, but he may not even start classes. Meaning, like he has eligibility to use in some sense to be on the roster, but he's not necessarily. He may just be a spring guy to help us fill out the quarterback room right now, or he may stay on. I don't know. It's all up in the air at this point. But this is why everybody keeps asking me who you're predicting at quarterback. I'm like, look, it's too much going to change in the meantime. So I'm making no predictions right now.
Jackson Arnold.
He might be, and he's probably the most likely one, but I'm still not going to make any step outs right now.
I still miss Peyton Thorne.
Well, I miss having him on the team. I think Peyton and everybody else it was probably a good thing that it moved on and that he's going to get to do something else now in his life. I would assume I don't know if he's going to try to play football somewhere else. There's plenty of other leagues besides the NFL, but we'll see.
This girl won the Miss Alabama.
Yeah, we saw it. We posted about her. We shared the little video out and everything. So that's pretty cool thing, isn't it?
That's is it Walker Kessler?
Walker Kessler, yes, that's his girlfriend. But more specifically, as her own person, she is a former Tiger Paw. She is, I guess you would call a current nursing student. She has been out of school reportedly right now to focus on Miss America. But that's a really cool thing. Auburn wins everything, right? Even stuff that's not related to sports. So that was a really cool way to kick off the week.
Who was the leading scorer for Auburn last night?
Janai Broom once again. You probably don't have to ask that very much because it's usually Janai Broom.
He's real good.
Yeah, he is. What do you think? You think he's going to win the Player of the Year award?
Yeah.
I think he's in the lead right now, and he probably has got the best case overall. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But
I like Chad Baker Rosario. He can slam dunk.
Chad Baker Mazzara, he can do a lot of good things, yes. But and who?
Howard.
Oh, because of his slam dunks. Yeah, I would imagine if you like slam dunks, he's going to be a guy that's high up on your priorities.
Where did Pedford come from?
New Jersey, I think he's originally from, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, but all right, we've got 2 games coming up this week before we get back together again and talk. So South Carolina and then Mississippi State. We do one on the road and one at home. How many wins do we have?
We will be going on the road with a 4-0 record.
So you think we beat South Carolina on the road and we beat Mississippi State at home?
Yeah.
All right. When we get back together, we'll have to see if you're correct. You're probably going to be correct.
And I still think Cam Coleman might have a breakout season next season.
Well, it would be the prime time for him to do so. So we'll be watching very eagerly. Well, appreciate you making us all hungry by watching you eat cobbler to start off the show. But that was fun.
And I hope I get to go the home games next season.
All right, well, let's make it happen. You keep telling me I'm going to see you, and it hasn't happened yet, so I'm looking forward to it, okay?
Okay, War Eagle.
War Eagle, good to see you, buddy.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that's Mr. Kevin. He's always one of our regulars. We enjoy talking to him every week, so you guys can do the same thing. Don't be shy. Jump on in here and join the conversation. It's very easy. Kevin gets in here pretty easily every single week and several others. So we'd love for you to join in on the conversation too on Wednesday night, Auburn Family Night. Let's see what's going on around here. to have what? Desperado, I'm not sure what that question is in relation to. And it doesn't really seem that Auburn related. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to take that one, but I'm not sure what you're asking there. Bruce is 12 wins away from 700 total wins, according to Wikipedia. I would be very, very careful about where you're getting. And look, Wikipedia obviously has Auburn ties, if you didn't know that. I think it's the founder of Wikipedia, or the original founder is an Auburn guy. But you always need to be careful with that, just by nature of being Wikipedia. But like even last night when I knew in my heart that it was about to be the big history moment, I kept looking on, just different sources, and I would look and they had Joel Eves. He's already passed Joel Eves, but what I forgot is sometimes they're not doing the just Auburn totals, they're doing the overall total. So yes, he had passed Joel Eves in wins already over his whole coaching career, but what the history is about his coaching career at Auburn. So that it may be correct that he's 12 wins away from 700. So it'll be another great milestone. 18 conference games, I think, every single year. That sounds right. 16, 18. We've only played 3. Yes. Texas, 2. We've only played 2. Texas, and who did we beat first? It's blanking on my memory right now. Goodness gracious, why can I not think of it? Anyway, we've got 2 wins right now, so we've got several more to play. He could pass that this season, but a lot of winning still needs to happen. That'd be a great way to kind of bookend conference play. If you begin conference play by him breaking the all-time Auburn record and then breaking the 700 mark as a coach, if that is actually true. So good thing to point out there, Unbeaten Lake. We'll see if Coach continue. Coach has broke so many records, milestones. I won't say barriers, but he is surpassed, I think, most, if not all, expectations at this point. His legacy is cemented here at Auburn. I think we're all now switching to conversations mainly about statues and renaming things in his honor. He's going to fight tooth and nail against that. I still think personally, naming the student, at bare minimum, the student entrance should be named the Pearly Gates. It's too perfect. It's too awesome. But frankly, you're going to have the stadium arena likely have it on a major corporate or donor sponsor name like Neville Arena for the majority of its lifetime. So what you would do then is do just like Pat Dye Field or Jordan Hare Stadium at Pat Dye Field, or Pat Dye Field at Jordan Hare Stadium. You do the Pearl Court or Bruce Pearl Court at Neville Arena. That's well on its way, but we are hopefully long way away from having those serious conversations outside of just the fandom part of it. Same thing for, statues and things of that nature. We got into a big discussion about that today on TikTok, which was really surprising. How many people, were starting to like already push for it. Now I'm like, he's not done yet. And you don't usually get those until you actually wind down your time as a contributor at Auburn, or that's what it was in relation to. Janai Broom. Somebody was saying Janai Broom better be getting his statue when he was all done. I'm like, Janai deserves a lot of credit and probably has a good case to someday, if he continues doing what he's doing, to have a statue up for him at some point. Now, I think a couple things have to happen. I think not have to, but if you get the Player of the Year award, which I think would be the first Auburn player to do so, that in and of itself probably gets you the recognition of a statue. It definitely gets you your number retired, I think, probably. He was here for 3 years, so you've got a good body of work to kind of look at his resume, what he put together, how he represented himself. The big question is, and this is where we get to things like retiring jersey numbers and things like that. Charles, for example, is the gold standard. You got to think about Charles. He went on to have a great NBA career, played for Team USA. And, I can't remember exactly when his number was retired, but he didn't get his statue until much later. So I think we're a long, long way off for any legitimate conversations about that. Bruce is at retirement age. Hopefully we get him 10 more years, but I have begun to wonder if he might retire if we win a championship. I think that's the nature of the Auburn fan base, is to start always going to here we go. It's just got good. Where's the drop off? Where's the hill? We just came to the top of the hill. And you might be right on that. I will tell you all this. He has his contract was extended until 2030, if I'm remembering correctly. Remember, there was that big push during the year with Jabari and stuff like that to retain him for a lifetime, quote unquote, contract. And Alan Green, I think we could probably all look at Alan Green's whole time here as AD and say it was, a mixed bag, but certainly we need to give him credit for locking up Bruce Pearl for the long haul. And there's probably been times where that was in serious question about people stealing him away and things like that. So with that in mind, 2030, after that deal was done, is the likely time with which he would officially retire. Does he do that beforehand? He could, if he feels like the timing is right, if he wants to hand it off to his son, Steven, or somebody else, likely Steven, I think. We shall see. I think Bruce would want to finish out his time here. Here's what I do know. And I say this very similarly to what I do about like Dylan Cardwell. If Auburn doesn't snag him up in some form or fashion for he can't be athletic director right now, but some role in some type of ambassador or athletic administration type of role, they are doing it wrong. He is an Auburn guy through and through from now on, and we need to make sure it stays that way, even if it's on or off the court. WT says no Auburn basketball player has ever won the Naismith Award. However, Kessler, and that is a great point. Kessler did win the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year award. That is an excellent point to bring up, WT. Thank you for the clarification on that. And I'm ashamed that I didn't remember that. So obviously you've got the two different awards. I don't think the other one's offensive, but I think they do that defensive one just to kind of honor the other part of the game. But the Naismith is the official award is the Heisman in essence, and that can go to anybody for what they were known for. I will say that certainly you could then have that conversation we just had about Walker Kessler, but I think the difference is he's had 1 year at Auburn, and that's it. To have the 1 year at Auburn, you have to do something absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. You have got to do what Cam Newton did, go undefeated, win the Heisman, win the SEC championship, win the national championship. So Walker and them did, what did they do? Did they win the SEC tournament that year? Or was it the outright regular season? I can't remember which one it was, but had the surprising exit in the second round and stuff like that. So, not to take anything away from any individual that season or anything like that, Walker's not in that conversation, although we could argue with his affiliations currently with other Auburn greats, Abby Stockard, that they are just becoming an Auburn power couple. He's not in that conversation, right? But Janai, with 3 years here, with what he has accomplished thus far, SEC champions, making it to the tournament each year. If he wins the Player of the Year, wins another SEC title in regular season or tournament, has a great run in the March Madness, we could be talking about a guy that is very worthy of being the next one up there on a statue with and retiring numbers and all that kind of stuff. But we're so far away from that, folks. It's not even funny. I think I've noticed this since I've been doing content creation for Auburn stuff. And I know it's not exclusively an Auburn problem. It's just a human problem, but I'm trying my best to speak this into me, but also to others as well. We as a society and as an Auburn fan base need to stop looking ahead so much. We never take the time to just sit back and enjoy and indulge in what we have at that moment. And I get it. I'm always wanting to keep growing, keep get better. But like even yesterday, we had somebody comment on Facebook, and maybe he's even watching right now on Facebook. I don't know. If you are, sorry, I don't remember your name, but his comment was, "This is great and all, but he still needs to win the national championship." And I'm like, dude, just take a second, man. Like, enjoy what he has done for you. He has completely transformed a program that had not been to this level in decades. And you can't even just take a second to chill and let the man be celebrated for a day. We all won a national championship. We all think that this team is probably capable of one, but just settle down just a little bit. People are just ridiculous sometimes. Anyway, here's my rant for the time being. Unbeaten Lake says, I hope Broom wins the award, but Flag seems to have the bigger name and plays for Duke. ESPN is already for Flag after that dunk. Howard did it twice better and got no attention. I will agree with you, Lake, that there is the tendency is for the media to have a darling, and it tends to be on one of the major programs. However, if you'll remember, like an example like Georgia had with, forget his name, but he was like all year considered the best player of the year, and I think he ended up being that, whether or not his team was good or not. So it's not always the case, but it does seem to be that way. And I would agree with you that at the earlier part of the year, that probably would have held to be true. Now, the difference is Cooper probably has done enough, I think, right, to still be relevant, but Janai's done so much more, and his team is in a slightly better position right now. I think people are finally catching on that they need to give Janai the recognition he deserves and the look that he deserves for that player of the year, even with Cooper Flag in the equation. And I think we're starting to move into a time where people who stay around longer in the NIL are getting a lot of respect back from people, and Janai is one of those. NIL has helped in a lot of ways, as much as we lament about it. Let's see here. WT says Coach Pearl is the greatest basketball coach in Auburn history for the fact that he is the only one to get us to the Final Four. I never thought I would see that in my lifetime, nor did I. And what a great run that was. I will never forget. I was at my mother-in-law's former residence in a different part of the Southeast, watching not only the Sweet 16 happen, but the final. Well, actually, I think we watched the Sweet 16 at the house, but the Elite Eight with Kentucky we watched, and no Chuma Okeke. And I just kind of knew, well, that'll be the end of it right there. It was a great run to the Elite Eight. We lost Chuma. And watching that team go up against that incredibly talented Kentucky team, and without Chuma, put together a comeback in some sense, because they were down for most of that game, if I'm not mistaken, came back, pushed it to overtime, and got the win, was absolutely incredible to get to their very first Final Four. It sucks that the Final Four was in Minneapolis, but, some people still made it up there. Our friend, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. He's probably watching right now. Brian, thank you, Brian. Brian was able to at least be there with people in the Great White North. He didn't get to go to, if I'm remembering correctly, the matchup, but he got to at least experience the fandom coming up there. This year, though, if Auburn gets that South Regional, they will be in Atlanta for the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight, if they make it there. So we got a lot to look forward to there. The Final Four is in San Antonio, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not outside the biggest window for Auburn in travel and fan bases. Houston has a huge contingency of Auburn people there. I know that from just personal stories of people I've talked to, and they talk about, like, the alumni group. I'm just checking something real quick, making sure I'm not knocking the camera. The alumni group that they have, and yeah, so lots to look forward to this year, folks. Here I go looking ahead too much. All right, we are right at about 30 minutes into the show already. So we've dove into a lot about Coach Pearl, legacies, all that stuff. We can continue to do that, but y'all post some more topics and stuff because this is more about what you guys want to discuss, questions and topics. It doesn't have to be relevant to the time right now. It can be anything Auburn related, anything orange and blue related. If you haven't, we would much appreciate you smashing the like button. And I'm going to continue to ask, and the way you get me to shut up about this, some of our regulars, WT, we'd love for you guys to call in. I get that it's intimidating. All you got to do is click the link. You don't have to put your face on camera. No one's going to guilt trip you for doing that. We'd love to get you guys in the habit of doing this more often. It is because I think y'all forget that encourages others to do so. They want to take part in it as well when y'all utilize it. So we thank Kevin and so many others that do it on a regular basis. But it's time for some of you, Unbeaten Lake, WT. Come on. I'm sitting right here. WT said, I still rewatch the KU UNC UK run that we had on the way to the Final Four. Here's the weird thing about this, WT. I can't bring myself to rewatch it again. And it's a weird thing for me. I think because it was so perfect, I feel like if I rewatch it, it'll ruin it. And I have it built up even more so in my mind. So I've not been able to go back and watch that ever. I've had no desire to, and when there's been opportunities, like it's been on SEC Network or something, I don't go rewatch it. Does that make me seem weird? I don't know. You would think I would want to go relive that. Maybe that's because of how I know how it ended. He says, I have no camera, no mic, nor microphone. I was in the Navy, so I could do it using a I don't know what that is. You don't have to have a camera. Remember, it doesn't have to be on camera. It is literally your phone. I think that's I'm learning that when you click the link on your phone, all it does is because everybody's got a smartphone now. All it does is it take you to a little thing and you click yes or no. Do you want to be a part of it? Your microphone's on your phone, and that's what most people will talk to us on as I knock my headphones on, stuff like that. So don't let equipment, sound, setup be a hindrance to you guys. Remember, 2025 is the year where we really want to kick this up a notch on Auburn Family Night, and we want to get you guys calling in on the regular because I know that for some reason y'all like hearing me talk, but let's be honest, it'd be great to hear some more different perspectives here more often, and that's what this night is supposed to be about for you guys. So please do that, and I know that we get that a lot more during football season too. Okay, we're getting a naval lesson now. I said, I don't know what that is. Sorry, this is going to be a very loud little thing that I drink out of. That's what I had my water in today. Clear the throat and all that stuff. All right, what else? What else is on your minds? Talked a lot about Coach Pearl, legacies, Janai and what he's putting together. Looked back at some basketball history and stuff. No football discussion tonight. Are we all footballed out? Anybody got any thoughts, opinions, questions, topics about football? I will tell you, not a football thing, but we do like to spread the love around to as many of the programs as we can. I did go to the swimming and diving competition here in Georgia Tech. Some of y'all that are in the Cocker Club, the second level, the Eagle tier, got to see some behind the scenes stuff while I was there, heading in there. And then we shared some stuff out on social media too. So I'm probably going to tomorrow put out a very short video of just giving you some clips of while I was there. I wasn't there for the whole thing, just so you can get a perspective. If you've not been to a swim meet before, it's very similar to a track and field. Lots of things going on all at once or right back to back of each other. So there's a lot of action stuff. So I think people will be like, I don't really want to go to that. It doesn't seem like something that would keep me entertained. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of energy, a lot of hype. Give it a shot. Give it a shot if you ever have an opportunity to. What about our special teams coach bolting for another team? Well, I wouldn't phrase it that way, frankly. He was sticking around. If you go back and listen to the last episode, 108, Austin and I spent a lot of time talking about Tanner Burns and what him being moved up into a new role meant. I think he probably just got another opportunity. So there clearly was a plan to have him there and to stay. So I wouldn't agree with the bolt characterization, but I certainly, it's funny in hindsight that we have to go back now and kind of redo that conversation this week on the show. which is fine. I'm not complaining about having anything to having something to talk about, but it is interesting to watch what has been a weird transition. And they finally got confirmed today that Rock Tony is going to be returning in outside linebackers. And we already knew about TJ Rushing finding a role on the field. Originally, it was going to be, I think, just the nickel position, but now he's going to be safeties, which, if I'm not mistaken, in fact, let me just pull it up here. Let's scroll down and see if they've updated here. Yeah. So here is your on the field coaching staff officially. Hugh, DJ Durkin, defensive coordinator, linebackers. Let's do defense. Vontrell King Williams, defensive tackles. Rock Bellatoni, outside linebackers. And then that's it right now. So that means we still probably need, I don't know, TJ Rushing, the safeties. So if you go by the way these are listed on here, you're going to find that there's a spot open for edge and defensive end. I'm not so curious. I'm kind of curious. Do they not make Vontrell a full defensive line coach now and move the edge rushers also under Rock Bellatoni? I don't make those decisions, but it does feel like maybe that would solve a lot of the coaching vacancy problems. Not problems, but opportunities. Because that gives you 1, DJ is 1, 2, Wesley McGriff, 3, Rock, 4, Vontrell, and so 5 defensive coaching staff guys. And then you'd have 1, if you count Hugh as an offensive guy, 2, Kent, 3, Marcus, 4, Derek, 5, Ben, 6, Jake. So I don't know. Maybe they want a 6th one on the defensive side of the ball and could bring in a edge rushing guy. I had hopes our boy Trevon Reed would be back, but alas, it doesn't seem like it's going to be the case. Going back to basketball for a little bit, still think about when we hired Bruce. Knew he was going to be a great coach, but we were so down in basketball after Barbie. It shocked me and wondered how we got him, almost feeling like he was too good for us. But I think you forget it's so hard to take ourselves back to that moment because it's as short as it was so long ago. You know, Bruce wasn't in a good place either outside of what he was doing on TV. You know, he had the show cause. He really didn't want, excuse me. He really, a lot of people wanted him to take that on. And I think both Auburn and he found themselves in a position where they needed each other more than anybody else. And it was a match made in heaven. This was directed unbeaten. When I heard the news, I yelled and then realized it had to be a troll news story. When I saw it was for real, I was happier than anyone. You know, I won't say that I had like inside sources or stuff, but I have enough people I can talk to get a feel of, is something heading a certain direction most of the time. And I was pretty sure it was going to happen the day of, but it's just hard to believe, right? You know, we're getting this big name of a coach to come here after what we've been through. So it was odd. Neil, what's going on? We've already talked about that a little bit. I don't think there's really much that to dive into there, welcoming him to the team. But I think certainly we need someone here for the spring. At the very minimum, we'll see if it amounts to anything else there. And I don't know if it has any implications about scholarships or anything like that. If Coach Pearl did not have that show cause, I do not think we would have been able to get him. Well, it depends on how much other trouble he would have been in without that rule being placed on him because if he didn't have the show cause, you could make the argument that he would have still been at Tennessee, right? So yeah, you would be correct there. I get the sense that whether you agree with the reason that Bruce Pearl got in trouble for the recruiting stuff and what resulted in a show cause, I get the sense that it profoundly affected him and made him realize how quickly you can rise to the top and how quickly it can fall apart. And it made him so very gracious and thankful that someone would give him an opportunity that the first program with some substance of name, he would have said, yeah, let's do this thing. So we're lucky that the stars aligned. Because think about that, folks. You want to think about timing and all that kind of stuff. All this stuff had to be aligned. Auburn needed to be in a place where they're ready to make a change. He had to be available. He wouldn't have been available had he not. So, we can sit here and hold things against people. I had somebody today on TikTok said he's a cheater on another thing. He starts, I was an Illinois fan. He's a cheater. I'm like, well, okay. You can't prove that. I can't prove that. I don't have the proof to deny that, but it's such a petty thing to do at this point. You're assuming that your team hasn't also cheated as well. Yeah. Excuse me. And I just coughed right into the microphone. With Tennessee getting beat, certainly Auburn sits here as the unofficial number one team, having not lost, but getting close to doing that last night. They beat South Carolina. I would guess that nobody else would be in position to overtake them. Duke would probably be the best case because they've beaten Auburn, but I think they're back at like 5 or something like that. So all that to be said, there are no more discussions that need to be had as of this moment right now, whether it is unofficial or not. Auburn is the number one team in the land because the number one fell. They were number 2 and already had a really good, strong case for that. It's not even it really doesn't even need to be a discussion point at this one. Devin finally got out of the kitchen. What's going on? War Eagle, thanks for hanging out. Devin, it's been high time for you to call back into the show, so you should do it since you maybe are free of the kids now. We need some Devin in the kitchen action. Good to see you. No apologies necessary for being late. We are happy that we get to see you when we get to see you. Okay, we have discussed Bruce, legacy, talked a little bit about Janai and legacy. We talked about last night a little bit. We have discussed the quarterback that was added today. We have discussed coaches being added to the team. There are plenty of other things out there we haven't discussed yet, whether they're time sensitive or not, or timely. Anything is fair game on Auburn Family Night, so don't be shy. Unbeaten Lake's got a story for us. I met Bruce in 2021 at a Lake Martin restaurant, probably the Kalijah or the Niffers restaurant, one of the two. Great guy. He went to every single table, greeting and shaking hands with everyone. From what I understand, he is very well known around the lake. So I think it's more so that he knows everybody already and wants to say hello to all the people that he already knows more than, but he also is a nice guy. Look, I think I've told you the story before. So obviously most of you know, I don't live in Auburn. I'd love to someday. Maybe we will. I'm not a traditional media member, but I am blessed with the privilege to be on their emails that they send out to media people and stuff like that. And every once in a while, they allow me to do some things where there's not really any space limitations. So I've been able to attend some practices before. So I went to basketball practice last season. I think it was last season. It was my first time ever attending one. And I walked in there and I don't know the etiquette or anything like that because I'm not a traditional media member. I don't know if I'm not supposed to wear any Auburn stuff or if I'm supposed to wear, not even the right color. So I wore jeans in this very off orange, semi nice, polo. It wasn't even that nice. I was wearing jeans. I'm just in there hanging out watching. And finally Bruce comes in after everybody's warming up. He walked straight over to me because he recognized me or he recognized that I was new to the pool of people. And he just came over and introduced himself. And I said, Coach, I know who you are. I'm here to cover you. So I will agree with your story, whether it was because he knew everybody at the lake or not, that he is a very personable person and will treat you like anybody else. So great to hear that you've had similar experiences there. No, WT, we're not discussing Hudson CAC. We're not discussing Hudson CAC. Never going to live that one down. How many more years do we think Coach Bruce Pearl has before he wants to retire? Sam, you got here a little late because we kind of dove into this already. He has a contract until 2030. Will he finish out the contract? Sure, it's a conversation we can have, but I've been really trying to stress this with folks. Everybody just needs to like enjoy what we have right now and not worry too much about the future. We haven't even gotten to the mountaintop yet. Let's just sell that. But in finishing out your question, any rumors on what Steven wants to do one day? I could see him trying to have his own path. I have heard it for myself, Bruce saying it on camera, whether he meant it to slip out or not, or he just said it point blank, because it's been pretty obvious, I think, that he intends to hand the program over to Steven. There was rumors and speculation that when the quote unquote lifetime contract was given to him, several years back, that was one of the stipulations, is that I want to hand this thing over to Steven when he's done. That was a rumor. It's not confirmed. So I do think that is the plan. That's the thing about plans, though, is it can change. So it doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. It also doesn't mean that it will stay that way, or that he may not even want to do it. But I get the sense with that information, Steven is willing and / waiting for that opportunity. WT points out something here. I would love to see Steven get a head coach job at a smaller school and then come back after when Bruce retires. And I'd actually be fine with that too. I think it would be valuable experience from him, but that means we have to lose Steven. And Bruce is very good about giving credit to his assistant coaches, not just his son. And if you notice that he calls him coach, like I think most of the time he probably does just call him Steven sometimes, but every time I've heard him talk about it, he calls him Coach Pearl or Coach Steven. Not just Steven, my son, or something like that. He treats him like he's, and as he is, the second in line on the team, because he is the associate head coach. So in succession or seniority, Steven is the guy. So it makes the most sense. If he goes somewhere else small for a while, kind of like Todd Golden did, who is a Bruce Pearl coaching tree guy at Florida, it would make a lot of sense. Really, it doesn't gain anything for Auburn if that's going to be the plan regardless. And that's going to be the problem too, is you got to really just need something to fill a spot for you on a smaller school if you're willing to accept the fact that he'll probably come back once his coach, yes, but his dad retires to Auburn, if that's what they want to continue to do. I get the sense it's pretty clear what's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. But settle in, folks. We got hopefully a long way before that. All right, we got 13 minutes-ish left in the show. Please, 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 we would love for some of you guys to take advantage of that call-in link. I'm not going to sit here as like kind of we'll stop offering it if nobody else wants to use it. But it's one of those things that I've really tried to push this year. That we wanted. This night is supposed to be about you guys. And we really want you to take advantage of that call-in link and just give it a shot sometime. Some of you that have never called in before, give it a shot. Trust me, Devin knows it's not that difficult. Other people have done it. Give it a shot. Hiring outside of the team is someone outside of the team is a massive risk. Hire someone on the team because they know the team. You could also make the case the other way, Unbeaten Lake. You could also make the case the opposite way, that keeping within yourself and never going outside of that is a problem too. Now, I would say that if there was a trend that had already been shown, but this is the first time we will have a succession within the program set up. So I would be more in line with what you say right there. Devin says, from what I can tell, Steven wants the job. He's up on the sideline about as often as Bruce is, and the staff is very dedicated, and we are blessed to have them. Yes, I would agree that in name, in behavior, in responsibilities that not just he, but a lot of his staff are given. A lot of these guys are set up to take coaching positions. Here's another thing too. Wes Flanagan, former Tiger, and now he's left to go. I think he's still at Ole Miss, if I'm not mistaken. But he was really the guy, already had head coaching experience. Auburn guy, been with Bruce for a while. He probably was the guy that if you were going to do a succession plan, made the most sense. Well, he leaves. Now, we can all sit back and say that's because Allen wanted to go try and do something else somewhere else. And yeah, that's a good reason. But if you're set up for that, why would you leave? I get the feeling that Wes Flanagan, his dad, Allen's dad, felt his time would not probably come here at Auburn to be the head coach, although he had the opportunity to be an interim head coach for a game, as did Steven, and both guys won the game. Not that they had the strongest talent in the world to face against in their interim games, but I think the path is very clear and set up going forward for Auburn basketball, so feel secure in that. All right. We have 10 minutes left in the show. Let's hear from you guys. Other topics, questions, comments, timely or not, that you want to discuss that are orange and blue related. Don't be shy. Smash that like button, all that good stuff. What I would love to do with you now, as we do towards the end of most of our shows, we're not done yet, so don't worry about that. We're not done yet. But let's run through some of the stuff that you can expect coming up this week. If you're not subscribed, following wherever you watch or prefer to consume this live, make sure you're doing that. Next scheduled stuff: Auburn versus South Carolina. It's going to be a fun one. I would assume even over there in Columbia. That'll be a 1 p.m. tip-off Eastern time, so it should be about 3:15, I think. Post-game show. The watch link is already made here on YouTube, so you guys can go ahead and encourage you to do this. Smash the like button in advance, hit the notify me bell. Even if you're subscribed, it should help you get better notified when we go live for that. So post-game stream for that. Join us for the continuation of Bruce Pearl's hopefully streak of wins as Auburn head coach. The Auburn Experience live podcast recording for episode 109. We got a lot to talk about this upcoming week, so join us for that Sunday at 9 Eastern time. And as always, check our links in the description. Alumni Hall, it lets us be an affiliate of theirs. If you go through our link over there in the description, if you need access to that link, let me know. Buy something from them for yourself. You support them and support us as an affiliate. So there you go. What do we got here? What do we got? Does anyone know when Austin will be attending another basketball game? He did mention that he had 3 more, I think. 3 more games that he plans on attending this year. So I'm guessing I think he said they weren't prominent ones. So maybe Mississippi State would probably. Well, actually, Mississippi State's pretty good. See, that's the thing, is everybody thinks that there's going to be an off night in the SEC. Even at home, you've got Mississippi State, who's doing decently, at least right now. They're ranked currently, coming into town after South Carolina. So we'll do a post-game show for that as well. Broom seems to be injured when Austin attends a basketball game. Yeah, that did happen. It did happen, unfortunately, for that. But he was fine. He was fine. It was all good. No problems. No problems whatsoever. It all worked out in the end. I want y'all to think about the highs and lows of this year so far, of the highs of anticipating this incredible schedule that we have, the results that started to form. You're almost at the end of everything, and then you're heading in the right direction with speculation, with predictions about your team, and then suddenly Broom goes down with an injury, and you're like, oh no, this is such the Auburn thing to happen, but we're fine. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. Knocking on wood. That's faux wood, but I'm going to knock on it. All right. Let's see here. What's this about? UAB once did. Their greatest coach retired, and they hired his son, who was on the team. It didn't go well, unfortunately, and he got fired. But we will see if it will for us one day. Yeah, and I think that's the important thing. If anybody's fretting about that as a potential, what's your point in fretting about it? Because what's going to happen is what's going to happen. And we talk about these things, and time changes everything. Steven, if it is already the plan for him to be the next head coach at Auburn, may not want it at that time. He may be like, you know what? I'm good. I just want to be an associate, or I don't want to be at this school because I won't be able to. That could be a possibility that he probably wouldn't view it this way, but he would always live in his dad's shadow of what he accomplished. Granted, he would start earlier, and if he has any type of success that his dad has, he would quickly overtake that. But think about how cool that story would be. A guy that probably was even more tied to Tennessee, having been a player there, than Bruce was. I would say this: as a coach, you recognize you're going to be changing a lot. As a player, you kind of have that affinity to. I would guess he graduated from there in that community, but has been adopted. He adopted us, and we adopted him, and has been an Auburn guy since then. So to have the Pearl legacy continue to have success here at Auburn would be a great thing. We spent a lot of time talking about this tonight. Interesting. I didn't think that was the way we were going to go this evening. What else? What else haven't we talked about? A few minutes left. We got with you guys. Phone line is still open, but I'll go ahead and shut it down since I've been begging for some of y'all to call tonight, and none of you taking the bait. How about this? This is my question to Neil, Unbeaten Lake, WT, to any of y'all. What will it take? What do I have to do to get y'all to try to call in one time? Like, what do I have to do? Because y'all been here long enough. It should be have happened by now. What do I got to do? What's the brother got to do to get a call? Anyway. What else? If you guys noticed, we took down all the Christmas stuff around here. It's gone. I'm sorry if you guys liked the thing. I'm just spitballing here at the end because I'm trying to think of some housekeeping stuff. Change this table around a little bit. Do you guys like this in the background? Do you like having the light in the background? Because we used to do this all the time. Do y'all prefer that look or that look? I play this every year when we get after the holidays and I start settling in a basketball schedule. I tend to have a little bit more time because there's less need to travel on weekends. I get time sitting in this room wanting to change things. So I've got the new desk that I do things on, which has been a simple-ish change, but I don't want to, if there's something that looks bad, that sounds bad, things like that, I always want to get y'all's perspective. So don't be shy in that regard. Anything else? Well, if that's all y'all have for this evening, we can cut it a little bit short because y'all have been fairly quiet this evening. Trying to think if there's anything else on the list we haven't covered. I guess I should give another shout out. We did mention her briefly, but Abby Stockard winning Miss America is pretty incredible. And doing it as I guess technically a former student. Want to give a shout out and love for that. And by the way, did y'all know that I got a shout out from Bruce Pearl this week? Or he took what I wrote in my personal account and actually shared it out, which wrote his commentary about my commentary. That was it's a pretty big day for me. Pretty big day for me. If I'm gonna brag a little bit. I know that I've called him before, but for me, have to have a specific topic or question in mind that I want to talk about. Otherwise, I have no idea what to say. 1 of 2. You got something else? Or, oh no. So maybe we should have a call-in segment of the show where we have a list of topics to choose to talk about. It doesn't matter to me. I just, I want us to get into the habit because I know this for a fact that a lot of people, they won't say it, but just having experienced it myself, it's intimidating to call in. And if they don't see other people doing it, then they're not going to take advantage of it. So it's just something that in a year, I always get to this time of year where I'm reevaluating things. And if it's not something that people want, then, why even offer it? I mean, Kevin obviously would not be able to call in as much, but it's just kind of one of those things. I want you guys to take advantage of what we do. And if it's not enticing enough, we may need to reconsider that at some point. So not to scare you or anything like that, but it is something I'm always thinking about. Okay. Talked about Abby. We talked about basketball. Did talk about some of the football topics out there. think that's about it. We're at 59 and 40. So I think we'll call it a show. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We will have another Auburn Family Night next week. Don't forget that as part of the schedule. So come ready to come hang out and maybe call in, and we'll do this again next and invite a friend. Please do that. Let people know that we're live so we can keep growing this little family within the Auburn family. Thank y'all so much for hanging out tonight. And I appreciate you so much. Till I get to talk to you again, maybe on the post-game stream of South Carolina or Eagle.